welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have coffee. Today I'm gonna do a bit of a different video because I did post a story on Instagram asking for any suggestions that you'll have for my second YouTube video. The most common one is also the actual idea that I had for my second video, and that was a day in life uni edition. The reason I couldn't do that was because this is the last week of my third year semester, so I'm going to my fourth. The entire week is hectic, but I'm sorry I couldn't bring a day in a life uni vlog because of it being really hectic. I didn't have time to vlog any of the days.
2 hours later.
Before we get started, disclaimer: whatever I say, take it with a grain of salt, because these are the things that I have learned. So I've had roughly 1.5 years of experience living in Sydney and studying in Sydney, and it's going to be 2 years in July. It's more than 1.5. Why is my math not mathing? That's how you know I've been doing too much engineering this semester. Anyways, so yet again, take this with a grain of salt, but I don't have the experience of a person who's lived their entire life in Sydney. Before I begin, I will give you a little introduction of who I am, what I do. So I am a third year mechanical engineering student who is going to go into her fourth year in the coming semester. But as of now, I'm a third year mechanical engineering student at UTS, also known as University of Technology Sydney. I'm gonna break down all these points into few categories so that it's easier for you to keep track of what I'm saying. If I keep looking down here, because my laptop's here and that's where I've written down all my points so I don't forget it. So let's get started. So the categories that I've broken it down to are academic and uni life, money and expense, life skills, social and emotional experiences that I've had, Australia as a general topic, and personal growth. So let's get down with each category. The first category, the main one, is academic and uni life. So first thing that I got to know, this is basically something you get to know when you start uni. Generally, uni life is different to school life. In school, your teachers chase you, tell you what you gotta do, follow behind you, and make sure you get your work done. But in uni, most of you might know this. This is not just a Sydney thing, it's more like a worldwide thing where lecturers don't chase behind. That is the first thing I learned when I started uni in general, rather than coming to Sydney, because Sydney didn't teach me this. Uni life taught me that. Do not skip classes. One thing I've learned is if you skip one class just because of some minor issue that you had, and then unintentionally you start skipping all the classes. You skip one class, you're gonna skip the rest of it. So you might as well just sit through that boring lecture or that boring tutorial. When it comes to uni, especially in my degree, like at this point, all my subjects is group work. You gotta get used to being in a group, because sometimes you could be very lucky and get like kids who work really hard or who are aligned with your goals. But you could also be unlucky and get people who don't work at all. Third thing, this, I cannot stress this enough. There was this one session, I think it was like an international student program. They brought in like 4 or 5 graduates told to speak to us about things that they've learned, tips and tricks that help them throughout the year of studying at uni. But there's this one point that stood out a lot from this one guy who came up, and he was like, use Google Calendars. I knew what Google Calendar was, but I've never used it before, and at this point I can't live without it. Google Calendar has saved me a lot of time and kept me fully organized, and my brain was so peaceful. Stay as organized as possible with uni work. Use Google Calendar and Notion. I use Notion because it helps me a lot to keep in track with my to-do list and all my assignments that's due, and in the group work commitments that I have, so it helps a lot. Trust me, staying organized is gonna save you a lot of hours. Point 4. So point 4, this is something that has happened to me, and currently also I'm going through it. Plan your subjects for the future. And by this I mean, yeah, you know what subjects you're gonna do. There might be a handbook that tells you. When it comes to my case, in UTS, we have subjects that you can only do in one semester. These come in a bit of an issue. You need to plan from your first year to your final year. I know it might sound like a lot, but trust me, planning your subjects throughout help a lot. So my tip is plan your subjects. 5th point. This is something generally people tell you, but I'm gonna say it again. Don't leave your assignments till the last minute. Trust me, it's gonna come and bite you in your ass hard. So going back with Notion or Google Calendar, plan it out. Try to aim and finish your assignment at least 2 days before its due date, not 2 minutes before. You can have a peaceful life if you do that. So just don't leave it for last minute. Point. Take full advantage of all the services provided by the uni. At UTS we have this service called UTS Helps, and then there's counselors and student services. There's Career Hub, where you can find job opportunities, internships. And the final point under academic and uni life experience that I've learned, balancing academics, work, and your social life is hectic. It's a bit of a struggle. Actually, it's a huge struggle. It all came crashing into me. Oh my god, I need to balance everything. I need to balance uni, I need to balance assignments, I need to balance work, as well as any of my other commitments at uni, maybe clubs and societies. And at the same time, I should also not forget to have a social life, because if I don't have a social life, it's gonna mess me up completely. So when you come to uni, you tend to realize that, especially when you move out of Sri Lanka and come to Sydney or Australia or a different country. You get to understand, especially since you were all used to being with your family and getting them to do all that work. Okay, now I'm going to jump into the next category, which is money and expenses. First things first, I'm gonna tell you what I've learned when I came here was to track your expenses. Handling your own money is tough, especially when you're not used to it. So to track my expenses, I use Excel. To just find easy templates on Google, but I just use my own template. It is kind of combined with certain videos that I watched about managing finances. There are more templates in Notion as well that you can get downloaded for free. You get to see where your money comes from and where it goes to. Trust me, you need to know where it goes to. That's how you know if you're spending on unnecessary things or spending unnecessarily on certain things, if you know what I mean. And secondly, I hate to break it to you, but you cannot afford the luxury that you had in Sri Lanka over here. Don't think you can live the exact same life you did in Sri Lanka over here, unless you have a really good job and you've got family who's living here, wherever you're gonna move into. But yes, most of the time, almost all of the time, you cannot afford the luxury of Sri Lanka in wherever you move to until like you're established in a way and not a full-time uni student doing part-time work. So the next point that I'm going to go into is about all the places that you can buy cheap stuff, cheap groceries, cheap clothes, things that I found out through friends, talking to people who've been here longer than me, or else just the internet, videos that I watched, or else just experience in general. So when it comes to grocery, there's 3 main places that you could see here in Sydney. I don't know if I'm missing one, but yeah, 3 from what I know. There is Coles, Woolworths, also known as Woolies, Aldi. So Woolies and Coles are a bit in the higher end. Aldi, whereas, is a lot more cheaper. When you're getting groceries, try your best to shop at Aldi, but there's a but. It closes a lot earlier. Secondly, most of the time I walk into Aldi, they're out of stock. Third reason, Aldi doesn't always have like most brands. Like you could go to Coles and Woolies and you could be seeing a certain brand that you want and you like, but you can't find it in Aldi. Aldi has different brands, not that famous brands that you would be using. So those are 3 pointers why Aldi is not as helpful, but hey, it's pretty cheap comparatively, so Aldi's still a win. And buy clothes. I don't know about men's clothes. I know about women's clothes. It is the cheapest at places like Kmart. Then there's Target, which also has clothes. I've noticed that Cotton On and Glassons have really cheaper clothes compared to the rest of the stores that you walk in. Glassons sometimes have a bit expensive stuff, some, but most of the time what I bought are pretty cheap comparatively. Like if you just land from Sri Lanka and then just walk into Glassons, you're gonna be like, oh, this is expensive. But compared to the rest of the stores around, Glassons and Cotton On are pretty cheap. Another thing that I learned when it comes to saving up with groceries is plan your meals. Planning your meals for a week helps you a lot. Plan out the entire week, all the meals that you're gonna have. This is gonna save you a lot of money. Because trust me, at the beginning, I never had planned meals, so I would just go shopping and just grab whatever I feel like. Planning your meals helps a lot with saving up on groceries. So you know exactly how much of things to buy and exactly what to buy. And now I'm gonna move into the next category, which is life skills, which I barely had any when I landed in Sydney. First thing that I learned when I came to Sydney, eating out is expensive. The cheapest meal you could find any restaurant would be around $16, roughly. The cheapest you get is $16. Other than that, there's like Macca's and KFC. Other than that, try batch cooking or else meal prepping for a week. This helps you a lot. Especially, like I said earlier, it's gonna help you with the expenses of groceries because you're gonna plan ahead. As well as prepping your meals, you save a lot of time as well as money. You won't be needing to cook again and again throughout the week. And I'm gonna move into the next category, that is social and emotional life. So the second you land in Sydney or any other country that you're gonna move out, homesickness is gonna hit you. No matter how much you're gonna think, yeah, no, I'm not gonna miss home, you're gonna miss it. You know, you could miss the food, you could miss your family, you could miss your friends, or even the general feeling of being in Sri Lanka or your country. It could affect you a lot. Be prepared to be homesick because you generally can't avoid it. You could find coping mechanisms to like help you get over it. So running up with that, secondly, is making friends. Try your best to make friends. Socialize a lot. Join clubs and societies at uni, and trust me, this helps you a lot in making friends. So you kind of forget about your homesickness and have fun. Enjoy life, because this is gonna be your new life. Another thing that I don't know if a lot of you are gonna expect, but ready to be alone. Thing is that you never realized it. Like earlier, you knew you were gonna be alone. But did you know that it's gonna affect you badly? No. So the thing was, I had made friends, so it kind of helped me a lot cope with it. You don't realize it until it actually happens to you. So that is one thing you need to expect when you move out of your country into a new country. So another thing is, like I said, you need to make friends, but making friends is not as easy. So when you move outside your country, it gets a bit hard. For me personally, I was very social and I made friends from different cultures. So within like a month, I had pretty much a lot of friends. And I would say that's because I was a lot more open-minded and I don't know, like really social. I made a lot of friends, especially when it comes to the differences in culture and the way you grew up. You don't really align with a lot of people here. Slowly, you kind of grow into it, and they grow into you as well, and things get better. The next category is Australia. So Australia generally, I didn't know a lot about it. The weather. There's so much I could yell about Australian weather. The weather just changes, like for example today, it was supposed to be raining heavily. Guess what the sky is? Clear. Not a drop of rain. I don't see the rain you told me to expect. I dressed for the rain, but it's warm weather in Sydney. In the morning it would be raining heavily, and then suddenly in the afternoon it will be sunny. So sunny that you start sweating all over your clothes. We did not see that happening. Expect extremely bipolar weather. Australia is very, very, very multicultural. In Sri Lanka, you used to just seeing a lot of Sri Lankans and a little bit of, foreigners, tourists visiting or living, a little bit of it. But when you come to Australia, there's everyone living in Australia. So many cultures. Somebody from every country in the entire world would be living in Australia. Public transport. Fine, but it's not the best. There are so many delays, so many last minute cancellations. I guess you kind of expect that with public transport, but so far, personal opinion, I haven't had much of struggles with public transport, but from what I've heard from my friends and people who live in Australia, public transport in Australia is very messy and annoying. And then finally, personal growth. From personal experience, I'm saying moving out of your country, for me, moving out of Sri Lanka, did a lot for me in a good way. It helped me grow a lot. My 18 years of living in Sri Lanka, I've learned things. But throughout the 1.5, going to be 2 years of time that I've been living in Australia, I've learned thrice the amount that I've learned in those 18 years. Especially because you're pushing past your boundaries. You're living alone, away from your family. You're doing everything on your own. Your finances, managing all the money and the expenses, cooking for yourself, education, being social, making friends, everything, working, everything. You are literally stepping so far away from your boundaries, which is the key for learning, and it helps you grow a lot. And every day I am living in Sydney, I'm learning something new. And that is because every day there's a new struggle that I need to face. There's a new struggle that I need to, cope on my own. It helps me learn a lot. So personally, with all my experiences, I'm saying you're gonna grow a lot when you move to a different country. When you move away from your family, you're gonna learn a lot. It's gonna be hard at first, but you're gonna get used to it because it helps you become who you are. It helps you find who you are actually. I've been seeing that line in like movies like, who am I? I'm gonna go find who I am. But guess what? It actually has meaning, and like when you step out of your boundaries, you'll find it out yourself, who you exactly are. Another thing that I learned when I came to Sydney, you start appreciating the little things. But this was a lot personally with my experience, I'm saying. And now every day I live life appreciating every tiny thing that happens to me. Trust me, it gives you a completely different perspective of life, and it helps a lot, yet again, with your growth as well. Australia is a beautiful country. I moved here in July 2023. Living in here, I started seeing a lot more things about Sydney, a lot more things about Australia. And generally, Australia is a beautiful country. There's a lot to learn, but it's a beautiful country. Living here and being a uni student full-time and working part-time, it is a struggle, but you're definitely gonna grow through it. It is, nothing in life comes easy. What comes easy isn't as amazing as what comes when you work hard, right? It's definitely a roller coaster. A lot can happen in the years that you live on your own. So many struggles could come along your way, but you're gonna grow. You're gonna learn how to cope with it. It all settles down at the end. And asking for help is not a problem. There are many services at uni where you could go for help, and many other services which are outside uni that you can go to. So asking for help is not a crime. Like I said, life is a roller coaster, and it becomes a bit of a tougher roller coaster when you move out of your country to study in another country full-time while working part-time. But it gets easier as you go on, like easier to cope with. The struggles are harder the more you go into life, but the way you cope with it, you know better how to cope with it. So I'm gonna end this video on that note, that it is a roller coaster, but you're gonna get through it. You will, like I did, and I will for the next few years or life that I will be here. See you. I will try to bring in another vlog about my day in a life at uni when my 4th year starts, which would be a lot more interesting than the last semester, which is hectic. So I'll wait for that vlog in about 2 or 3 months, because I have a holiday. I have a long holiday. But see you. Thank you for watching.